Harrington, right? I heard you used to run this school. That's true. He's Steve that used to climb out. Then he turned bitch. Hey, maybe you should just shut up and play the game.
Every story hides a mind. This is where we uncover it. Steve Harrington wasn't supposed to matter. He was designed to disappear after season 1, a cardboard cutout of American high school mythology. The popular kid, the hair, the girlfriend who was too smart for him. He existed to be left behind. But something happened that the writers didn't plan for. Something in the performance, or the writing, or the accident of timing made him impossible to discard. Because Steve Harrington became the rarest thing in modern television. A character who earns his transformation by losing everything that once defined him. This isn't a redemption arc. Those are about moral correction, about someone bad becoming good. Steve's journey is something more uncomfortable. It's about someone whose entire identity was a performance, and what's left when the audience stops applauding. Let's be clear, Steve Harrington in season 1 is not a bad person. He's something worse. He's empty. He's a perfect replica of what a 17-year-old boy is supposed to be in 1983 Indiana. The right car, the right clothes, the right amount of cruelty to stay on top without becoming a villain. He's not even bullying Jonathan Byers because he hates him. He's doing it because that's what the script of his life says he should do. He's automated. And Nancy Wheeler sees through it immediately. That's the wound that starts everything. Not that she chooses Jonathan, not that she calls his whole life bullshit at a party. The wound is that she's right. Steve knows it. He's performed being Steve Harrington so well that there's nothing underneath. He's hollowed himself out to fit a shape someone else designed. So when his world collapses, when Nancy leaves, when Tommy and Carol turn on him, when he's suddenly alone in the hallways he used to own, Steve does something unusual for someone his age. He doesn't get angrier. He doesn't lash out harder. He gets quiet. And in that silence, he starts looking for something real.
The thing about Steve is that his emotional intelligence was always there. He just wasn't allowed to use it. The performance of masculinity he'd been running required a certain amount of deliberate stupidity. You don't ask too many questions. You don't notice when your friends are cruel. You don't admit you're scared. But when the Demogorgon shows up, Steve is terrified, genuinely physically terrified. And instead of pretending he isn't, instead of putting the mask back on, he picks up a baseball bat and walks into the nightmare anyway. That's not courage. That's something more complicated. It's the action of someone who's realized he has nothing left to lose except the chance to be useful. He's not trying to be a hero. He's trying to be real. And the only way he knows how to do that is to stop running. This is where Steve starts to build a new identity, not around popularity or status, but around utility. If he can't matter socially, he'll matter practically. He'll be the one who shows up, the one who drives the kids, the one who takes the hits. It's not healthy, not yet. It's just a different kind of performance. The babysitter role isn't accidental. It's not comic relief. It's Steve trying to reconstruct a sense of purpose by taking care of people who can't take care of themselves. He's not their peer, he's not their friend, not really. He's their protector. And that role gives him a framework he understands. Be competent, be reliable, be the adult in the room, even though you're 19 and working at an ice cream shop. But here's the crack in the armor. Steve is desperate for these kids to like him. Watch how he talks to Dustin, the way he tries too hard, the way he flinches when Dustin talks about other older male figures. Steve isn't just protecting them, he's using them. Not maliciously, he doesn't even realize it, but he needs their validation because he lost everyone else's. Robin Buckley sees this immediately. Season 3 is where Steve's psychology gets genuinely interesting because Robin refuses to let him hide. She's not impressed by the hair. She's not impressed by the self-sacrifice. She sees a guy who's still performing, just for a different audience. And when she comes out to him on that bathroom floor, she's not just trusting him with her secret. She's testing whether he's capable of caring about someone without needing anything back. He passes. Barely, but he passes. And that moment, that tiny, quiet moment where Steve just listens and doesn't make it about himself, is the first time he's genuinely connected to another human being in the entire series. No performance, no utility, just presence. This is where Steve starts to become a person.
But the show doesn't let him rest. Season 4 takes everything he's built, the competence, the protector role, the fragile self-worth, and runs it through a shredder. Because Steve is confronted with the fact that his usefulness has an expiration date. He's not the smartest, he's not the strongest, he's not even the best fighter anymore. Nancy has moved on. The kids are growing up. Robin has other friends. What is Steve Harrington if he's not needed? The scene where he talks about his fantasy future, 6 kids, the RV, the road trips, is devastating if you're actually listening. He's not describing a dream, he's describing relevance. He's imagining a life where he'll always be necessary, where he'll always have people depending on him, where he'll never have to face the question of who he is when no one needs him. It's the saddest thing he's ever said, and he says it like it's a happy ending. Because Steve still hasn't figured out how to be alone. He's gone from needing to be popular to needing to be useful. But both of those are just ways of outsourcing his self-worth. He still doesn't know how to sit in a room by himself and feel okay. The upside down nearly kills him multiple times, and every time he survives, he does it by making himself smaller, by taking the hit for someone else, by proving his utility. When he gets dragged underwater, when the bats tear into him, when he's bleeding and exhausted, he still gets up. Not because he's brave, because he's terrified of being disposable. This is the thing the show understands about Steve. His heroism is inseparable from his damage. He's not self-sacrificing in a noble way. He's self-sacrificing in a compulsive way. He doesn't know how to say no. He doesn't know how to not be the one who takes the risk, because if he stops being useful, he stops mattering. And that's not growth. That's just a more socially acceptable form of self-destruction. But there's a moment, brief, easy to miss, where Steve almost gets it. It's when Nancy tells him she's with Jonathan, really with him. And Steve doesn't fight it. He doesn't make a case for himself. He just accepts it, not happily, but without bitterness. That's new. For someone whose entire early identity was built on winning, on being chosen, on being the one people want, that moment of letting go is seismic. It's the first time Steve allows himself to lose something without trying to claw it back. He just stands there and absorbs it. That's not closure. That's the beginning of something. The beginning of Steve realizing that his value doesn't come from what he can offer or who chooses him. It comes from the fact that he keeps showing up, even when no one's watching. The tragedy of Steve Harrington is that he's still waiting for permission to believe that. He's still looking for external validation, still measuring himself against an invisible standard, still terrified that if he stops moving, stops helping, stops proving, he'll evaporate. But the strength of Steve Harrington is that he's still there, still showing up, still taking the hits. Not because he's figured it out, but because he's too stubborn to quit. He's not a hero, he's not a saint, he's just a kid who got lost trying to be what everyone else wanted, and now he's trying to figure out what's left when he stops performing. That's the story Stranger Things never intended to tell, but it's the one that matters. Because Steve Harrington isn't important because he saves the day. He's important because he's proof that you can spend years being the wrong version of yourself and still find a way back. Not to who you were, to who you could be. He's still looking, still stumbling, still bleeding, but he's looking. And maybe that's enough. If this made you think about a character differently or about yourself differently, then it did what it was supposed to do. Consider staying. There's more where this came from. This was not a judgment, it was an archive.